Hi kids, how are you? So, we are again here in your English class. Children, today is Wednesday and today's date is 29th of July 2020. So, students, today we are going to start a new chapter that is one of my favorite chapters. Lesson 2, How I Taught My Grandmother to Read, written by Sudha Murthy. Sudha Murthy, a very accomplished and prolific writer. Yes, which connects our lives with her stories. Okay, so we will start How I Taught My Grandmother to Read. Before that, we'll see what we have done in the previous video, in the recap section. In the previous video, children, we have done the syllables and make sentences activity of your previous chapter of lesson 1, How Daddy Played Ping Pong. Now children, today in this video, I am going to explain you the chapter. I'll show you a beautiful animation of the chapter, of the story. Also, we will discuss the new words and phrases. Fine children? And what will be the assignment for today? Today's assignment, children, will be you have to read the chapter and about the author very carefully. Okay, I request you to read the chapter in your free time, 2-3 times, so that you will be very thorough with the chapter and also with the words. And then you have to do the new words in your new notebook. As you know, just after starting any chapter, the first thing which we'll do are the new words. So children, How I Taught My Grandmother to Read is a beautiful tale, is a beautiful story of desire, of dreams. Yes, it gives us a moral that there is no age of doing anything. Age is not a bar. Yes, for people to do anything, to accomplish anything, to reach the heights. Okay, and this will be proven by the grandmother. Yes, in this story. Fine, grandmother was very old, but she has a desire to study, and in that old age she persuaded her granddaughter to teach her how to write, how to read. Okay, and her desire was so fixed that she has set a goal date, a fixed date for herself, like by that date I have to achieve my goal. Fine, so it's a beautiful story of a old lady and also her very young teacher, that is the author of this story, Sudha Murthy. Okay children, so fine, without wasting any time, let's see about the author, then we'll see the animation, summary, and then we will discuss the new words.
Grade 6, Unit 1, Section 1, Prose. How I Taught My Grandmother to Read. About the author. Sudha Murthy was born in 1950 in Shigaon in North Karnataka, a prolific writer in Kannada. She has written 7 novels, 4 technical books, 3 travelogues, and 2 collections of short stories. Her previous English book, Wise and Otherwise, has been translated into 13 Indian languages. Now children, here you have come across a new word, travelogues. So, travelogue means a film or book or a lecture about the places visited by or experienced by a traveler. Now, what is the essence of the story? It is an emotional and empowering story of an old woman who fulfills her desire of learning despite her age. Like the woman was very old as it's given here, but at the age of 62 she was very determined to learn. Now after that, introduction to the lesson. The writer narrates her real life experience. This is a real life experience of the writer. And who is the writer? Please memorize the name of the writer, children. It's Sudha Murty. She lived with her grandparents. They got a weekly magazine which was her grandmother's favorite. As her grandmother could not read, whose grandmother? Sudha Murty's grandmother. She would read out to her. One day when the magazine arrived, the writer was away and her grandmother was helpless as she was unable to read her favorite story. So she shared her feelings with the writer and learned reading. Now who shared her feelings? Sudha Murty. So this whole story, this prose is about the feelings of the writer. Now children, I am going to share a beautiful animated film of the lesson. Please watch it very carefully and listen the story. This is the whole story. Okay, it's a voiceover also and animation film also. So enjoy the animation.
My grandmother, Krishtaka, never went to school, so she could not read. Every Wednesday, the magazine would come, and I would read the next episode of this story to her. During that time, she would forget all her work and listen with the greatest concentration. Later, she could repeat the entire text by heart. My grandmother, too, never went to Kashi, and she identified herself with the novel's protagonist. So, more than anybody else, she was the one most interested in knowing what happened next in the story and used to insist that I read the serial out to her. After hearing what happened next in Kashi Yatre, she would join her friends at the temple courtyard, where we children would also gather to play hide and seek. She would discuss the latest episode with her friends. At that time, I never understood why there was so much of debate about the story. Once, I went for a wedding with my cousins to the neighboring village. In those days, a wedding was a great event. We children enjoyed ourselves thoroughly. We would eat and play endlessly, savoring the freedom because all the elders were busy. I went for a couple of days, but ended up staying there for a week. When I came back to my village, I saw my grandmother in tears. I was surprised, for I had never seen her cry even in the most difficult situations. What had happened? I was worried. Ava, is everything all right? Are you okay? I used to call her Ava, which means mother in the Kannada spoken in North Karnataka. She nodded, but did not reply. I did not understand and forgot about it. In the night, after dinner, we were sleeping in the open terrace of the house. It was a summer night, and there was a full moon. Ava came and sat next to me. Her affectionate hands touched my forehead. I realized she wanted to speak. I asked her, "What is the matter?" "When I was a young girl, I lost my mother. There was nobody to look after and guide me. My father was a busy man and got married again. In those days, people never considered education essential for girls, so I never went to school. I got married very young and had children. I became very busy. Later, I had grandchildren and always felt so much happiness in cooking and feeding all of you. At times, I used to regret not going to school, so I made sure that my children and grandchildren studied well. I could not understand why my 62-year-old grandmother was telling me, a 12-year-old, the story of her life in the middle of the night. But I knew I loved her immensely, and there had to be some reason why she was talking to me. I looked at her face. It was unhappy, and her eyes were filled with tears. She was a good-looking lady who was usually always smiling. Even today, I cannot forget the worried expression on her face. I leaned forward and held her hand. Ava, don't cry. What is the matter? Can I help you in any way? Yes, I need your help. You know, when you were away, Karmavira came as usual. I opened the magazine. I saw the picture that accompanies the story of Kashi Yatre, and I could not understand anything that was written. Many times I rubbed my hands over the pages, wishing they could understand what was written. But I knew it was not possible. If only I was educated enough. I waited eagerly for you to return. I felt you would come early and read for me. I even thought of going to the village and asking you to read for me. I could have asked somebody in this village, but I was too embarrassed to do so. I felt so very dependent and helpless. We are well off, but what use is money when I cannot be independent? I did not know what to answer. Ava continued. I have decided I want to learn the Kannada alphabet from tomorrow onwards. I will work very hard. I will keep Saraswati Puja Day during Dasara as the deadline. That day I should be able to read a novel on my own. I want to be independent. I saw the determination on her face. Yet I laughed at her. Ava, at this age of 62, you want to learn the alphabet? All your hair is grey. Your hands are wrinkled. You wear spectacles and you work so much in the kitchen. Childishly, I made fun of the old lady, but she just smiled. For a good cause, if you are determined, you can overcome any obstacle. I will work harder than anybody, but I will do it. For learning, there is no age bar. The next day onwards, I started my tuition. Ava was a wonderful student. The amount of homework she did was amazing. She would read, repeat, write, and recite. I was her only teacher, and she was my first student.
Moral of the story. The writer gives us the message that if we are never late, to learn. If we have a desire, we can learn anything and everything despite of our age. So today's assignment, children, you have to read the chapter carefully and you have to write down the new words in your notebook. See, I have given some new words here. Prolific. Prolific is creative. Sudha Murthy is a prolific writer. Then dependent. It means one who needs support. We should not be dependent on others for our daily chores. Ardent. Ardent is a person for anything who is very enthusiastic or passionate. We can say A.R. Rahman is a ardent singer or pianist. Yes, pianist is a person who plays piano. Then protagonist. Protagonist is the leading character of a play or film. Savoring. Savoring is enjoying. I hope you all are savoring the food made by your mother at your homes. Then psychological. Psychological is the mental and emotional state of a person. Scriptures. Scriptures are the sacred texts like Bible, Quran, Ramayana, Gita are our sacred texts. And immensely is extremely. Fine. So these are the new words, children. You have to write it down. Okay. For any confusion, you can also consult a dictionary. So that's it for today, children. We'll meet again in the next video. Till then, take care of yourself. Have a nice day.